Hi guys, we are Team Wednesday and we are working on the pet app with Credera. Just a quick reminder of what it is that we're trying to accomplish is that we're trying to create a application where it will allow a user to adopt a pet using the client service. So we're gonna go ahead and start, how we started in our first sprint a couple weeks back. We went ahead and we began to research and practice some of the coding that was required in our dev stack, as some of us were unfamiliar with certain languages and whatnot. We focused a lot on like setting up our chat server and file sharing and trying to correspond with our sponsors appropriately. We want to make sure that communication was a big thing that we were trying to look at and make sure that we can just have no errors in that regard. And we also tried to do some initial setup of backlog and the sprint board with a small amount of design for our application. Within the past week, what we did was we began to meet with our sponsor for the first time in our kickoff meeting. What we went over was just, again, getting to know ourselves and whatnot, and they discussed explained some expectations and some of the industry standards when it came to creating anything like, for example, we were focused on the backlog, the sprint board, documentation, and our database schema. Although we kind of already started those processes, they had their own standards and they want us to try to like convert everything over to them and what they expect to see from us. And after that, Fahad will go ahead and show you what our initial design will be for our application.
Hi, I'm Fahad Siddiqui. So over here, this is our homepage that we have. This is like an initial design. Most likely it might change based off of when we get into coding. So over here we have our navbar at the top with like login, sign up, and welcome. And we also have a search field which will allow the user to just type in and enter whatever they needed to search. So if they were to search and hit enter, it would take you to a more detailed search result with these pet cards that we have. And then on the left of those pet card results, we would have a more detailed filtering system like breed, age, gender, and days on site and color. And then on the top there'd be animal type like dog, cat, lizard, and then distance would be like distance radius, so like 50 miles, and then location would be like Houston, Texas, for example, and then a sorting button. And now let's say, for example, they wanted to click on a pet. We would, let's say Fluffy is the one we wanted to see, so it would take you to a more detailed view of the pet, and it would show like their name, location, and then more information about like how they are, like characteristics and things like that. And if you're interested in a pet, a user would click on their star, and if they are really interested in adopting a pet, they would hit the adopt me button. But in order to adopt, you would be required to log in. So if you're not logged in, you would be taken to the login page, which would have this. Now, if you have an account, you will just put in an email and password. If you don't, then you would hit the sign up page, and then that would just ask you for required information that you need to create an account. And then if, for example, if you end up in the sign up page, you can also go back to login if you know you already have an account. Now I'll hand it to Alex to talk about the rest of the different pages.
Alright, hey guys, I'm Alexander Starr. So let's get right into it. So once you sign up, the first thing you will see is the user dashboard. So here's the dashboard. So the way we have our dashboard set up right now is we have 3 separate subcategories. The first being my pet. So if you decide to adopt the pet and you click the adopt button, that pet will show up in that category. And then in the second subcategory, it would be recently viewed of any pet you have looked at on the website. And then the third one would be my favorites based on which pets you have selected the favorites button on. Next part of that is user profile. You can also change your user profile information if your information changes, and you can update it. And then that's it for user profile. Next part is employees. So employee dashboards look very different from the user dashboard. First off being that we're not using the card system anymore, we're using actual lists to show the information. And for the employee dashboard, we're separating it into two separate subcategories. The first being requested for adoption, and then the second one being inventory, where you can add new animals that are up for adoption. So if we click the plus symbol that's in the green box, it'll send us to the register animal page, where you can put in required information and upload photos where needed. And for a general final summary, most of this is first iteration, and a lot of this will change. And this is representative of all the data we have put into our documentation. So to pass it off, I'm gonna pass it off to Victor to talk about API.
Okay, here's our API documentation right here. It's gonna basically show how our application is gonna handle different types of requests and how it's gonna respond to them. So it goes into a little bit more detail than that, of course. It shows the parameters that different requests will have. It's gonna show what type of objects our application is gonna send back. And currently we only have the pet functionality down in the API documentation, and we have all the user functionality down. And we're gonna need to work on it a bit more, but this API documentation stuff is gonna be evolving as time goes on. So, Yves, do you want to talk about the database?
Sounds great. Hi, my name is Ibrahim Katkade, and I'll be going over database schema. So this, again, like we've been saying, these are work in progress. We drew up a database schema for the client, and then the client came back to us with suggestions and edits. So they've given us a bunch of feedback. We have some tables. Again, they made feedbacks about that. The main tables that we have is going to be user tables, because we're going to have users registered through the website. We will have employees, because they're the ones who are going to be managing the adoption process, as well as registering new animals onto the website. Pets, that's our merchandise, if you would. And then a few more tables about interactions, including things like pets that have been viewed, adoption requests that the shelter has received, adoptions that have gone through, and updates. Again, like you're seeing, there's a lot of edits that have been made by the client, so we're gonna have to discuss this a bit more with the clients. We are using MongoDB, and one of good or bad things, depending how you look at it, is views are not really required for MongoDB. This is another thing that we are in talks with the client to figure out if we need to design views for them, or it's something we can do without. As far as user types go, we have users who are going to be using the website. We've gone through and said, okay, these are the things that the user wants to do in the website, and how can they relate to the database, as well as the employees. Pets are not a user type, because pets, again, are the merchandise. They are what's going to be transacted here. That's all we have for the database schema right now, so I'll hand it off to James.
Hi, I'm James. As for what we're doing for our next couple iterations, our weekly Scrum meetings with our client are on Mondays. So right now, for up to next Monday, we are going to be working on finalizing a lot of our documentation, communicating that with our client, and we will also be working on the pet card components. We will be working on the pet card full vertical slice, visual components, backend, database, and that will be up till Monday. And for the week after that, I'll hand that over to Conrad.
All right, so the week after that, we're just gonna be taking those pet cards that we made, and we're going to be trying to visualize them in a dashboard. So, doesn't sound like much, but with everything that we're doing, I'm sure we'll be able to stretch it out. But, and then also to just make a note about what we have so far. Our deliverables for our last sprint were, or not for our last sprint, for this upcoming sprint are the 4 documentations. That's all the client asked of us. And you can see even we may have over-documented some stuff, and our clients are working really well with us near like everyday communication to tell us like, hey, let's just get what we need to initially get started and then continue on from there. And yeah, I think that's all we got, so Team Wednesday.